started with Jesse Kuhaulua, the first foreigner to enter the sumo ring. The Hawaiian wrestler became an instant celebrity, changing his name to Takamiyama, donning the traditional kimono and loincloth. A string of foreign-born sumo stars followed, many Hawaiian-born, like Saleva'a Atisano'e, better known as Konishiki, the heaviest wrestler ever, weighing in at 275 kilograms, earning him the nickname Meat Bomb. But a foreign face was not welcomed by traditionalists who said Konishiki lacked dignity. Despite a string of victories, he never made grand champion. Then came Chad Rowan, or Akebono, also from Hawaii. He became the first foreigner to win the coveted title of Yokozuna, or Grand Champion. His victory cleared the way for a series of foreign wrestlers that now dominate the sport. Mongolian wrestler Asashoryu is the current reigning champion, but Bulgarian wrestler Kotoōshū is quickly gaining ground. Yet sumo's popularity has plummeted in recent years. Fans say until a homegrown hero rises through the ranks, sumo will remain in the doldrums.
Of course, you already had a background in wrestling. Your father was a wrestling coach, but sumo has so much tradition and ceremony attached to it. I wonder, how is it different for you doing the wrestling you were doing before and doing sumo now?
You can't adapt to sumo right away. It is different from wrestling, so one can only adapt to it gradually.
Out of curiosity, your father was a wrestling coach. What does he think in particular about sumo wrestling? Has he given you any advice?
Well, he was a wrestler, and for him, wrestling is the greatest sport. When I first told him I was going to practice sumo, he said, "What kind of sport is that?"
Now, you've become a sumo star. You've even been called the Beckham of sumo.
ヨーグルト？毎日食べるよ。ブルガリアではヨーグルトは神様からの贈り物ね。ブルガリアで生まれた私たちのヨーグルト。明治ブルガリアヨーグルト。
How does it feel to be such a celebrity, and how do you handle that fame?
How do I feel? I personally think I haven't changed at all. From the time when I first arrived here until now, I'm still the same.
Do you feel any extra responsibilities or burdens in being a celebrity?
Well, one thing is that I have no free time anymore.
That's true. I suppose you can't even go shopping without being recognized.
No, I can't. I can't go anywhere. Wherever I go, there are always crowds following me. I can't do anything in private anymore.
How do you try and make some private time for yourself? How do you try and create a little privacy?
Well, there's rarely such a thing for me. But after tournaments, I always get 5 free days off. And I always try to go somewhere, far from everything.
Well, getting back to the sport of sumo, it has become increasingly popular with a lot of foreigners. Why do you think it's reached such a wide audience outside of Japan?
The reason is that sumo is such a traditional thing in Japan, the national traditional sport. Every foreigner, when they come to Japan, or when they want to learn about this country, these days it's sumo that attracts their interest, not just the samurai.
And yet, even though we have that popularity with foreign wrestlers coming in, the popularity seems to be declining in Japan. Why do you think that is? And what do you think the ways of reviving it might be?
The Japanese want to open sumo to the world and have it in the Olympic Games. But at the same time, many want to keep it in Japan only, worrying about pleasing Japanese fans. If they really want to make sumo an Olympic sport, they should open it to the world, just like they did with judo. If they want to keep it as a traditional sport in Japan, they will have to keep it the way it is now.
I was going to say, one of the issues of getting a wider audience, bringing it to the Olympics, or even having exhibitions like you did in Las Vegas, what does that do to the traditions and ceremonies of sumo? Do you see those changing over time?
No, those things won't affect sumo traditions in any way. In fact, I think they will only help increase the popularity of sumo.
Where do you see sumo going in the next few years? How do you see the future of sumo?
It's tough to say. If I answer this question, then I have to take a side on those two different views of what sumo should be, to say that the sport should only be for Japan, or to say that it should be open to the world. This is something that doesn't depend on me.
When you were younger, you were wrestling, but you didn't know you were going to be a sumo wrestler. How did you, if you didn't have that option of sumo wrestling, what direction do you think you might have gone in?
Right now? Well, I guess by now, I would have graduated from university and started working as a wrestling coach or a school teacher.
What advice would you give to young sumo wrestlers?
Every single wrestler can become successful and get to the higher ranks as long as they work hard. Sumo is an individual sport. It all depends on the efforts of the individual. If you are devoted to the sport, if you train hard, then you can achieve good results. I agree, it's very hard, very difficult. There is nothing easy in this sport, but it is not impossible to succeed.
Thank you very much. We've been talking to Kotoōshū. This is Talk Asia, and thank you for watching.